Bianca, you said the time I was love bombed by a narcissist. What's the story there?
Yeah. So I met this guy online, right? And we met up. We had a date and whatnot, and it went good. So we just every weekend he would come over. It was like a 2-hour drive, so he would come over, pick me up, and like we would go on dates, I guess, like cute dates or whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I was very delusional after the second date, and I started to get like really attached by like what he would say and do. And so just weeks kept passing by, 2 months, and I started to notice like little things that he would do, but like I said, I was like just kind of love bomb and kind of didn't say anything, like little red flags that he would do. And so it didn't end up good.
Oh my God, that was the vaguest story ever. Okay. I will.
Was he a diagnosed narcissist, or did you diagnose him as a narcissist?
I guess I did, just because like I don't know, he would
gaslight you?
No. It's already difficult enough getting an answer out of her. Just don't interrupt. Let her answer, please.
All right.
Go ahead.
Yeah, so he would like do I'm sorry. Okay.
Yeah, so we're just looking for what is the narcissistic type of behavior that you would see that led you to diagnose him as a narcissist?
Like, let's say I was going to the gym and like he would like, I would wear something and he'd be like, oh, like that's, it's like a crop top, like, oh, don't wear that. Or like saying like, oh, post this or else like you don't love me, like type, I don't, yeah. He did like
verbatim said that?
Like oh, like not love me, but like say like, oh, like why aren't you like posting this, like, like
Whoa,
I took a picture.
This is, Andrew, I'll let you continue in just a sec here. But did everybody at the table and did the chat notice what she just did? So you said he said something.
Yes.
And then when I pressed you, you said he actually didn't say that.
Wait.
He said something completely different.
Wait, I'm getting confused.
You said, if you don't post this, you don't love me.
Like not love me, but like oh, like no affection towards me. Like you're not showing any affection, like, in that way.
But there's a big difference between, at least I think, between a man saying, if you don't do this, it's proof that you don't love me, and a man saying, if you don't do this, this is perhaps an example of you not caring. I think that's a big difference.
I think
we need to be very precise in our language here, because I don't think it's fair to if you're explaining a situation about how somebody has allegedly wronged you, to lie about what they said. But go on, continue.
Yeah.
Okay, so Andrew was asking what he did that was narcissistic.
I'm sorry, I'm pretty bad at this.
¡Afuera!
Wait, was that? I think that's just going to be, I don't know why I think that's a quit. That's going to be a quit. She went into the bathroom, but that's going to be a quit. So, Andrew, I know you have strong opinions on the whole narcissism thing.
Yeah, well,
Peace out. You too, homie.
It's just been something that I've experienced quite often, that when a woman calls a man a narcissist and I ask if the man has actually been diagnosed as a narcissist, the answer universally is no, that they have not, which means that there's a lot of women who are either dating the same like 12 guys who are narcissists or whatever, or they really overdiagnose how many men are narcissists. And I've never been able to quite figure out why it is that that so many women in the first place think that they could make such a diagnosis to begin with. So, yeah. What's going on? What's going on?
Huh?
What's going on?
Huh? Done? Donezo? Oh, okay. All right, that's a... Okay, all right, that's fine. Morgan, welcome to the panel. Andrew, sorry for the interruption. We were still figuring out
I was just saying, that a lot of women seem to diagnose men with narcissism, even though they have zero credentials to do so. They have absolutely no real ability to do so. They don't have the required training to do so, and yet they're very quick to do that, and it's very damaging to a person's reputation to say that they're narcissistic. You're essentially hitting them with an order which is on par with borderline personality disorder and others like this. And I just wonder why women think it's like, for instance, I guess I should ask this first, but has anybody at the table ever dated a narcissist? Yeah, now suddenly not, right?
I think I have. I think I have.
You think you have?
I think I have, yeah. But like you said, like you can never officially tell, right? And I think women or people do over-diagnose, but also narcissistic people kind of never get really diagnosed because they don't know that they are or don't think that they are, and they would never go to therapy to be diagnosed. So I think those are two kind of reasons. But yeah, you're right. I think you can never be sure.
I mean, possibly. The big problem that I have, though, is that many of the traits which are considered narcissistic by women in modernity are often conflated with things which are just confidence, assertiveness, not putting up with things that they don't like, or having standards that they want adhered to. Those things are also desirable traits. And yet, oftentimes, even though those are the traits which attract women to that man in the first place, later, after the relationship has been resolved, they say that, oh, I should have known those were narcissistic traits, which is, that's I guess, the bizarre part to me. It's like, the guy you said, for instance, Rachel, you said, I dated a narcissist. When you think about those narcissistic traits that you now look back on and say, these were signs of narcissism, weren't those similar traits to what attracted you to the guy in the first place?
No, because it doesn't show at first. It just starts showing up kind of in a sneaky way, and then it's like there's more and more gaslighting, and there's more and more like criticism, and then it just becomes more and more as you go along the relationship. And at some point, you kind of like you start doubting yourself so much about kind of everything, and you erase yourself. But at the beginning, you don't. It doesn't show as confidence or anything like that. It's.
Well, what does it show as?
At the beginning, it doesn't show at all.
Yeah, but what was this guy's narcissistic trait?
Just like constant criticism. You feel like you have to walk on eggshells. Like everything you're going to do is going to be wrong. Everything you're going to say is going to be wrong. He's going to kind of freak out about every little thing that you say.
Those could apply to a narcissist, but they could also apply to somebody who's not a
controlling. Like he needs to control the situation. It needs to be like he wants, and like let's say there's a double standard as well. Like he makes a joke, and if you make that joke, then it doesn't,
All of those things, which I agree probably aren't desirable characteristics, can still be held by people who are not narcissists.
Yeah, I agree. That's why I said you can never really know.
Well, I think you can know. I think that you know by having a diagnosis by medical professionals who work with these people for many years before they make such a diagnosis. But even then, I guess maybe an olive branch here, maybe you can't ever know, because even diagnoses between psychological professionals tend to differ when it comes to individuals because of how complex it is. So one psychologist may say, yes, that's a narcissist, and another one says, no, it's not a narcissist. It's because we're talking about human behavior, the scientific method often goes out the window, right?
Yeah, and narcissism apparently is the hardest thing to diagnose. And narcissist people are very, very smart and very manipulative. So apparently, that's they can fuck up with the actual psychologist or a psychiatrist.
I'm not even sure it exists. I'm not convinced that the actual condition of narcissism exists any more than psychopathy exists. I mean, psychopathy is completely made up. It's not in any psychological handbooks, not in any of the DSMs. It's just never, we made it up, right? We made the entire, people call each other psychopaths all the time. It's not even a diagnosable condition. It's like, we just made it up.
I guess
and
it's
yet
just
people like, how many of you didn't know that? How many of you didn't know that we made up psychopathy? We made up psychopath. That's a totally made up diagnosis. How many of you knew that?
I didn't.
Yeah. It's completely fabricated. I think it's fun to call people that, right? I guess. Oh, that guy's a real psycho. But that's not what they call it. They call it, it's a personality disorder. They have different names. You might refer to that as some form of psychopathy, but there's no actual diagnosis for psychopathy. So yeah, it's hard for me to believe some of these kind of widely used diagnoses like narcissism. I'm not even sure if they really exist.
Wait, so none of y'all have dated a narcissist, really? None of you? Come on.
I just said I think I did.
I think my dad is one.
Your dad's one?
I think so.
Okay.
Nope. I don't think so.
No narcissist? Yes?
That has narcissistic tendencies, yes.
Okay.
But there's a difference if you have tendencies or you're, like you guys said, are actually diagnosed with it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the bothersome thing, right? It's like narcissistic tendencies means what?
So I did some research on narcissism. There's two types of narcissism. There's covert and overt.
No, covert narcissism, and there's actually 6 different kinds.
Okay.
But covert narcissism is under the umbrella, and it's widely disputed by psychologists if covert narcissism even exists, or grandiose narcissism, if that even exists, right? So that would these are umbrella terms, but again, it's very difficult to get to specificity when you start to dive into it. You start to find out, well, it's a lot more vague than you think.
I think it's important to do research on these, diagnoses, and before you choose to self-diagnose or diagnose someone else without a medical professional. But it can help you be aware of what's going on with that person and why they have these tendencies. Like, for example, I feel that narcissists lack empathy. So it's the difference between the overt and covert that I was mentioning is overt is the grandiose narcissism. It's very outward projection, whereas covert it's harder to really spot because they don't really need the praise from society. It's more, sneaky is just like an easier way to put it. And I do feel that overt narcissism is like the embodying of grandiose behaviors and thinking that they are better than others because they have that lack of empathy, but they also can be very charming because they put on some sort of facade.
Yeah, look.